my name's David. I'm based in Sydney, Australia. I work full-time. I'm a general manager of a business in Sydney. I'm trading Wednesday night and Thursday night. And I'm one of Gabriel's students. So I completed, I think it was 12 months ago, I completed the FX workshop, and then I went in to do the boot camp, LMP, and I'm a master's student at the moment.
Okay. So you live, did you say you live in Sydney, Australia?
Yeah. I'm in Sydney, Australia. Yeah, that's right. I work in the maritime industry, so I run marinas, and I've got a number of marinas. So yeah, I can see my chat. Do you have any efficient tips for new starters in order not to waste time? Absolutely. So my recommendation would be I don't know if Gabriel's already talked about this, but to become a clinger. So don't start arguing about why the 21 EMA is a 21, not a 20. Just don't change it. Just stick to a 21 EMA. Don't change any of the colors of anything. Just stick to everything that Gabriel recommends. And also just be mindful, as you go through this journey, you'll start to discover who you are. And what I mean by that is you'll start to work out your personality type, like your Myers-Briggs. You'll start to do the Enneagram. You'll start to work out who you are, and learning to be a successful trader is learning who we are, because we've got to deal with ourselves as a human being first. But we've got to bring ourselves to trading. So for me, I'm a type 3 with a 4 wing. I've got a propensity to workaholism and perfectionism and to validation by achievement. So that can be a bit of an undoing for me. So what that translated for me was, I was given tasks to do by Gabriel. I did that, but then I wanted to go on and do more. I wanted to read extra books, do extra courses, and I just put too much on myself, and that hindered me by giving me too much to do and then burn out. So just be careful of that. So my suggestion would be just to do what Gabriel says. When Gabriel says, you don't need to start jumping ahead or taking on extra workload right now. Just take it piecemeal.
What about your expectations? Can you talk about that? Because that was quite nice with you, right?
Yeah. So I remember when I first started this journey, I reached out to Gabriel and I said, what could I do in preparation because I'm a complete novice. So I didn't bring any experience to trading. And I reached out to Gabriel and I said, what would you recommend doing, or what books would you recommend reading? So Gabriel gave me a list of books to start reading. And my expectation was really, really high. And what I didn't realize at the time was high expectations equal big dips. So big expectations equal big dips. And just be mindful of that. Like, approach trading and just try and wear it like a loose garment. Just front up to it, but just try and have low or no expectations on yourself. And I think you'll do much better. I would have done much better if I didn't have as high expectations on myself. What do you think has made you successful in this? What's your favorite part of trading? Are you doing futures? Yes, I'm doing futures. So I trade futures, I trade foreign exchange, and I trade crypto. What's made me successful? Probably just my dogged tenacity not to give up. I've gone through some pretty big dips and I just keep fronting up to it. I really enjoy trading. It really speaks to a part of me that loves puzzles and riddles and trying to work things out. I also made a decision. I tried some things in the past, and I tried some other business ventures in the past, and I'd not stuck with them. So when I turned up to trading, I made this decision that I was not going to chase the next bright shiny object. I was not going to give up on trading until I made it work. So I made this pact with myself. I said, I'm going to stick with trading until I can make it work. So I think that's a pretty important mindset for me to have. What's my favorite part of trading? I really love scanning, framing, and stalking. The most important part of trading is all the boring stuff, though. It's all the pre-trading prep. It's doing my pre-trading prep. It's all the preparation, the journaling. Trading is probably the closest thing I could link trading to as an analogy would be a high-performance sport. So like playing tennis competitively or playing golf competitively. It's a solo activity. In professional golf, they don't win all the time, but you don't need to win all the time. But there's a lot of preparation. So when I look at high-level athletes, whether it's like Max Verstappen, Formula One driver, whether it's Rafael Nadal, whether it's Tiger Woods, they all have They do a lot of preparation behind the scenes. They do a pre-trading prep, like those guys before they're on the PGA Tour. They're doing a 2-hour pre-game prep. You know, they're going through a huge preparation before they start playing golf. The same as Rafa. He's doing like 45 minutes to an hour before he gets on the court. It's the same with me trading. I've got a pre-trading prep, and I've tried to keep it pretty small, but that's probably the most important part of trading, and it's my least favorite. Have you ever felt any frustration or FOMO during the early days of your journey, and how did you overcome this? Yeah, absolutely. Trading is frustration management. It's another opportunity to practice detaching and to practice emotional regulation. So I've become a lot better at identifying what emotion I'm feeling, and then being able to basically process that to allow that emotion to dissipate. So all emotion is a contraction of two words, energy and motion, and all emotions have a start, a midpoint, and an end. And any emotion that I block, I don't want to feel, I don't want to experience, gets suppressed and will come out sideways. So what do I mean by that? I mean, if I've got fear, I need to address that. If I've got anger, I need to address that. If I don't, I'll bring it into trading. And what that looks like is, if I've got fear, if I've got FOMO running, it will make me jump into trades that aren't good for me. If I've got anger, it will make me a revenge trade. So part of my pre-trading prep is dealing with that, and part of my journey as a trader is learning how to identify what I'm feeling in the moment and how to process that so it doesn't hijack me. When practicing via simulation, what kinds of mistakes did you find at first and seek to correct? So at first, my roadmap, my curriculum was learning the systems, learning the rule set, learning the systems, understanding how the systems came together. And then the second stage was learning how to simulate in a simulation environment. And then after that, it was learning how to trade in the live markets, where I couldn't pause, I couldn't rewind. It was just like a constant stream coming past. And then after that, it was about learning to trade the live markets with a demo account, learning how to trade the live markets with a demo account, break even or profitable, and then moving into a live money account with a small position size and increasing the position size as I earn it. So I'm currently trading with a live position in the markets. At first, the mistakes I made, it was really just rule-based mistakes, like entering when price was against the 21 in TC1, for instance. As I've gone through this, I've really started to get an understanding of how the bulls and the bears, the buyers and the sellers, how that pressure, how that works, how they work against each other. So, now that I've got an understanding of what is needed to get now that I understand what is needed to get a price move. See, I can't move price myself, no matter how much wishing, no matter if I'm rubbing lucky charms. I'm not that I'm superstitious, but like if I'm wishing, if I'm rubbing lucky charms, if I've got some superstition, I can't move price. I need market participants to move price. And the best way to move price is when the bulls and the bears are on the same side. The bulls are moving one direction and the bears are retreating. They're on the same side for a period. You get a big momentum move. And that's that psychological trap that Gabriel talks about. And as I've become more proficient, I've understood how that is playing out in those, and how that footprint, how that looks in the pattern. So I don't jump the gun anymore. I wait for that breakout bar on an S1, for instance, and also in the futures patterns. So yeah, that just comes with screen time and comes with practice. At first, I'd really encourage you to get good at using your software and becoming proficient with your software, so you're not tripping yourself up. You don't want to be trying to work out how to do simple things with your software in the heat of the moment. When practicing via simulation, what kinds of mistakes did you make at first and seek to correct? I think I've answered that one. Have I worked? G'day, Mark. Have you worked on your beliefs? Yes. I don't know how deep you want to go. Gabriel, how much time have we got? Just so I know to manage my time.
As you like, half an hour, 40 minutes, as you like.
Okay. Okay. So at first, trading for me was all about the systems and the rules and the mechanics. And now I'm seeing that trading is, it's more than 80%. It's like 100% of this. And then I need to ask myself, well, if trading's 80%, how much time, if I were to look at my time and how I spend my time trading, how much time am I actually dedicating to my psychology, to my mindset? Am I dedicating 5% or 80%? So I've had to do a lot of work on my beliefs. I've had to look at stuff around beliefs around scarcity, beliefs around competence. And you will too. I came into, I actually never thought trading was going to work for me. Just quickly, I was working in a job that was a bit of a dead end job, and I sort of had this moment where I was like, why on earth am I back here doing this all over again? Like, I've been here before. I'm back in a dead end job. I'm working a job that's got no fulfillment. So I started searching. I started searching psychology. I started searching beliefs and mindset. And I came across an interview between Van Tharp and Robert Kiyosaki, and it was typically on these sort of podcasts. It was actually before podcasts, it was a few years ago, but typically on these interviews, it's a bit of a marketing tool. It's a bit of a sales pitch. So it's pre-scripted questions, pre-scripted answers, and then it's a pitch fest at the end to get you to sign up to some sort of an information product. And Van Tharp was there, and Van Tharp was talking about, it was essentially about his PP 101 course. He was explaining about beliefs, and I wasn't interested in trading at that point in time because I had beliefs that I wasn't any good with numbers and that trading wouldn't work for me, or I wouldn't be able to be a trader. And I was really interested in the psychology that Van Tharp was talking about. Van Tharp essentially was saying that our beliefs, our life is a manifestation of our beliefs. So our beliefs are operating inside us, and we're exactly where we're meant to be. And the world around us is exactly how our beliefs want it to be. So we're in the relationship we want to be on based on our beliefs. We're in the career, we're in the job, our bank account, our wealth, all of that stuff, our health. It's all a representation of our beliefs. What do we believe about ourselves, our competence, our acceptability, all of that stuff. And it really picked up my ears. And Van Tharp, in this seminar, he went on to explain how the belief process worked. He went up looking at identifying your beliefs, where they came from, what does that get me into? What does that get me out of? Is this belief useful? If it's not if it's not useful, what's a better belief to substitute in its place? And you explain that if there's a belief that triggers a high emotion, we need to release that emotion before we can substitute out another one. So he essentially gave his whole life work on beliefs in this seminar, and I was very impressed by it. And then I purchased the PP 101 course to have a look at beliefs because I wanted purely for the personal development point of view. Still no idea to be a trader. And then a friend of mine that I was actually working through that with as a bit of a study buddy or accountability partner was doing one of Gabriel's courses, and he said he actually sparked that ignition in me. He said, I think you would be a good trader. And I was like, what do you mean I'd be a good trader? And he explained that I've got an analytical mind, et cetera, et cetera. That sparked an interest in me. And that was the first step of a belief that, maybe trading would work for me too. So to answer a long way to answer your question is, yeah, it's all about beliefs, beliefs about your competence with technology and IT, beliefs about your value and how much money you think you're worth, belief about money. Is it real? Is it, what is money? What does money mean to you? Beliefs about lots of things. So you'll start to unpack it as you go through the process with Gabriel. Do I have any daily rituals that you go through in order to get you to reset psychologically? Yeah, I do. So I finish work. When I get home from work, I go for a short walk, sort of about the 15-minute mark. It's nothing too strenuous. It's literally just to get some sunlight on my eyes. And as a pattern interrupt, it's really just to get myself outside away from the screens. And it's like a good fence or a gate to leave work on one side of the fence and then to move into trading on the other side of the fence. So it's a bit of a pattern interrupt. And then I've got a pre-trading prep. So I go through and I have a look at, my physical preparation to make sure I'm physically okay, in the best state to trade. Then I reset all of my tools and my environment, and I do preparation around my technology. And then I've got a psychological preparation. So that's typically some box breathing to get into parasympathetic nervous system, some mindfulness meditation. And I look at a parts negotiation, and I review the rules and look at some of those AAA screenshots. So it's fresh in my mind as to what a valid momentum move looks like, a valid pattern looks like. Yeah, and I use that checklist as well as an opportunity to get into the moment, to slow myself down. What I've learned is trading's unlike anything else I've ever attempted. Trading is trading's an unusual endeavor. Everything I've done in my past, whether it's sports, business, gym, everything's been about doing more, doing a greater volume, doing it with more intensity, doing it longer, harder, faster. It's been about pushing. It's been about driving myself, and none of that for me, none of that really carries across to trading. It's actually counterproductive. I really need to, when I sit down to do my trading, I need to be sitting down with a spirit that's still. If I've got something, see, in my working, this is going to be a big chat. So there's a mental state I need to go to the gym. That mental state that I go to the gym is very different to the mental state I need to bring into my romantic relationship with my partner. And then I've got a different mental state that I need for my job, for my career. Now that mental state at work, at work, there's this constant pull, whether it's emails, phone calls, clients, shareholders, staff, there's a constant pull. I always feel like there's a pull for me to do something, to be somewhere. When I front up to trading, if my spirit's not still, if I'm impatient, like I feel like I've got to be somewhere, I've got to make something happen, I've got to get somewhere, that puts a pressure on me and an attachment and a desire to make the next trade work, or to make this trading session work, or to make today's trades work. And that brings me undone. I really need to be in a place where my spirit is perfectly still. And when my spirit is still, when there's no anger, resentment, fear, anxiety, time pressure, I can observe the market for what it actually is. And there's no attachment. And I can let trades go, or I can observe, and I can take trades that meet my criteria. And when I'm in that state, it's like time stands still, and trading is wonderful. But if I'm not there, if I've got an unresolved resentment, if I've got too much pressure, what I mean by that is if I'm having a hard day at work, a hard week at work, my vision is to be an independent financial trader, so I don't work for anyone. If I'm having a challenging week at work, I can front up to trading with my spirit yearning to get out of my job and to make trading work. And that yearning can push me into trades, and it can drive me. It can actually bring me undone. So I've really got to get myself centered, and I've got to get my spirit still, and I've got to get myself into parasympathetic nervous system. So I'm out of flight or fight. I'm into rest and digest. I can really be present and no attachment on anything. And when I'm in that state, that's my optimum premium. That's my optimum state to trade from. You're very welcome. Yeah, some of these questions are simple questions and they're short questions, but to actually unpack it, there's a fair bit to go through. So I'm very happy to do that. Hi, David. Do you use TradingView charting platform for all three, futures, forex, and crypto? Yes, I do. I'm a TradingView user. The reason I chose TradingView was I'm a novice, and I use an engineering approach called KISS, keep it simple. And I knew for myself that to make this work, trading's a complex endeavor. There's a lot of complexity, whether it's your trading software, whether it's the system, the rules, the broker, the data, executing, position sizing, capital management. It's complicated. There's a lot of things. And I really wanted to keep it as simple as possible for a number of reasons. First is to reduce the learning curve, to make it as simple as possible to learn. So I didn't want trading platforms for futures and forex and crypto. I knew that I wanted to trade all three because I want to be an independent financial trader, and I wanted as many markets as possible so that there was as much opportunity in a week as possible to hit my targets. So I chose TradingView for a couple of reasons. Firstly was I was able to trade futures, FX, and crypto all on the one. And I chose my broker for the same reason. Yeah, so I did that to keep it as simple as possible and to keep the learning curve as short as possible. And I also didn't want decision fatigue. So when I've got one charting, I use TradingView, and it's set up in such a way that I don't need to click and move screens around. So there's very little decision fatigue present. Yeah. TradingView works really well, but just let me say this, that there's no such thing as a perfect trading platform. So they all have their strengths and weaknesses. I think TradingView could be argued to be the best in the breed at the moment, but it's still not perfect. What I mean by that is TradingView still doesn't have a 9-chart layout, but there are workarounds. TradingView, because it's essentially software as a service, it's like a web app that you log into, or you can actually download a proprietary browser that TradingView operates through. It updates automatically, so every time you log in, it's updating, which can be a bit of a blessing and a curse. The downside of that is you can log in to do something, and TradingView will have made a modification, and then, for instance, placing a trade button isn't where you usually thought it was, it's somewhere else. So whereas something like MT4, it's a bit older, it's not as optimized for like quad core computers. It's a bit slower, it's a bit older, but the plus side of that is you're not going to see things moving on you all the time. I've also got some videos on a playlist that I'm happy to share as well, on how to set up your TradingView if you need that. Was it difficult getting to consistency? No, not for me. It wasn't. It's been difficult maintaining consistency. Trading is a big mirror that is held up, and I get to see all of my defects, all of my strengths, all of my weaknesses, all of my beliefs. So maintaining consistency is challenging for me. Not impossible, but once again, it's like playing tennis or golf at a very high level. It requires work, and it requires me modifying my lifestyle to make trading a priority and to make trading work. And I need to consistently be looking at, pardon me, I mean, need to consistently be looking at my beliefs, and need to be looking at what level do I want to front up to trade, at what level do I want to participate in this endeavor, and where's the next set of, so at the moment I've come up against some self-limiting beliefs, and I'm having to look at those to move through. So it's just a constant process of unpacking beliefs from childhood. Yeah. How did you decide to move from demo to real money? Yeah, that's a really good question. For me, I just knew. Okay, so I'm just drawing a quick graph, which is plotting performance versus stress. So on this graph, and this is the psychology of performance. So this is what's happening inside me, inside you, inside everyone. As for our performance to increase, we need some level of stress. So as our stress increases on the x-axis, our performance goes up on the y-axis. So if we have a look, our highest amount of performance, our best performance, is when we've got a certain amount of stress. When our stress gets, so we need to be operating somewhere here and here. So for me, demo trading, at first demo trading in the live markets, there's a lot of stress. I was over here, my performance was declining, but then after some time, the stress level reduces because I get familiar with it. I'm into the peak state. I'm becoming consistently profitable. But then because there's no money on the line, the stress level moves down, and I'm back down to here, and I'm having trouble getting off the lounge watching Netflix because there's not enough stress. So I don't have any performance. So for me, I could recognize in myself that when I was demo trading, I was somewhere here. I wasn't really excited. I wasn't really motivated. I wasn't really driven because it was pretend paper money. So I needed to put some money back on the line to get my stress level up, or arousal. We could use another term, arousal. So my arousal needed to increase. And then as my arousal, the stress level increased, my performance went up. And I am constantly trying to keep myself in this sweet spot here. So at the moment, I'm increasing my position size. I'm increasing how large a position I'm using. But I also need to be mindful, and this is where the emotional regulation comes in, that if I'm starting to see things move, or if I'm putting too much stress on myself, or if the position size is too big, my stress will increase. And then my performance will start to come down. And this typically happens to me when I do one of these presentations for Gabriel. I've got like 20, 30, 40 people looking at me. I feel a high level of stress. My performance comes down. I have trouble remembering my words. I have trouble doing simple things. So for me, trading is about keeping in that sweet spot. And I knew with the demo trading, I was down here, and it wasn't giving me enough stimulus. So I knew I could feel it in myself that I needed to put on some live money to have a go. From a practical point of view, you need to be able to trade consistently profitable. You need to be consistently profitable with a demo account before you think about going to real money. But I was consistently profitable with demo, and I wasn't receiving enough stress or stimulation or arousal from the markets to actually keep me interested. Do you have a method or process for rooting out beliefs, in particular non-useful beliefs? Yeah, if you slow down and you start to, I'll speak for myself actually. When I slow down and I start to notice things that I'm repetitively coming up against, I can see that there's a limiting belief. So one of the things that I struggle with is journaling and keeping good quality records. And that's becoming a part of that's happening so often, it's now self-sabotage. It's actually holding me back. For my trading to improve, I need to improve. For my trading to get better, I need to get better. And at the moment, I'm coming up against some behavior that is not in my best interest. So then straight away, that's a red flag. I need to ask myself, okay, what is this? Like, I know how to use Microsoft Word. I know how to put together a document. I know how to put together a trade journal. I know I've submitted trade journals in the past. Why am I not doing this? And then I need to go into there with this, into like a meditative state. And I can ask a question like, what is it about this that is difficult for me to do? What is it about this? Why am I struggling with this? And if my spirit's still, if I'm coming out of the logic mind into the unconscious mind by parasympathetic breathing, like box breathing, by mindfulness meditation, by relaxing myself, I can start to get some sort of an intuition as to what's going on. And typically a lot of these beliefs for me, and it might be the same for you, a lot of these beliefs come from those conversations I heard by my parents, by my teachers when I was really little. And I think it's really important to get a grasp and to understand and try and remember, what were those conversations I heard my parents talk about money when I was really little? What were those conversations I overheard my school teachers have to my parents about my performance and about my aptitude and about my intellect? Those really early stories are formative. We take them on, and this is how beliefs get developed. Essentially, a belief is an idea that we latch onto and we start to pull evidence into it to make it to support it. So it can be likened to a chair or a table. A chair or a table with no legs will fall over. So it's the same with a belief. A belief is a thought, and when we start gathering evidence, we're starting to put legs under this thought. We're starting to prop up this thought to make it stable. And that original thought can come from a thought in our head. Our minds are constantly producing thoughts, and it can depend which one we lock onto, and then we gather evidence. Or it can be a thought that we hear from someone else. So a significant person, like a person in authority, whether that's a parent, a school teacher, police officer, a magistrate at a court, someone on television, someone famous, any of these prominent people in my early life can put ideas into my head that I then run with. So just be mindful and just observe what's coming up. Are you avoiding your pre-trading prep? Are you avoiding your trading log? Are you avoiding sitting down? Are you sitting down at the right time to trade? Are you avoiding going into a real money account when you've been demo trading for 12 months? Just start to notice what's going on, and there'll be hints and clues. Like if you've been demo trading for over 12 months and live money isn't in, there might be something in there, some beliefs in there about scarcity or self-worth that needs to be addressed. What has helped you during your boom bust cycle? First of all, understanding what a boom bust cycle is. So Gabriel shares these diagrams like that, the startup dip, the Dunning-Kruger effect. When I understand, a lot of these monsters live in the dark, and when we shine a light on them, they disappear. So understanding that a startup business, goes through a phase and then comes down through a dip and then goes up again. Just understanding that and being able to catch myself when I'm in the dip. I'm like, okay, I'm struggling with my trading. It's not enjoyable. I'm having difficulty. That's okay. I'm just in the dip. And if I ride this out, I'll come out of the dip again. So just being patient and having low or no expectations and being gentle with yourself, easy does it, but do it, whip it. I've had to learn to be gentle with myself. In the past, with work, with gym, with sport, anything like that, I've pulled out the whip and I've flogged myself, and that's to drive me. And that works in those endeavors, but it doesn't work with trading. So, and to be honest, the more self-work I've done, I don't actually think that being hard on ourselves does work. If whipping ourselves and flogging ourselves and being hard on ourselves worked, everyone would be skinny. Everyone would already be rich. Everyone would have the perfect children and the perfect relationship. I don't think whipping ourselves flogging ourselves works. I think for me, compassion and kindness and being gentle with myself is far more far more productive. Yeah. Have you found trading certain timeframes in Forex and or futures better than others to fit best in your schedule? Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, so some of this is about my schedule and some of this is about my personality. I've typically gravitated towards the lower time frames, and that's because of my personality. I'm able to take in vast amounts of knowledge. I'm able to move very quickly with my charting software and charting tools. I'm quite technically proficient, so that's one of my strengths. I'm also quite visual, so I think in pictures, so I'm able to process a lot of data. So I'm visually looking at what happens. I'm not telling myself an auditory story, which an auditory story is a lot slower than a visual picture. What that means is that the lower time frames are really attractive to me. That's probably not, and I'm still unpacking this. I'm still working out. Some of this is an evolution. So I'm still working out what is actually the best time frame for me to trade. The lower time frames has strengths and weaknesses. I mean, everything in trading is a compromise, everything. And it's about working out what works for me. Whether it's your trading software, whether it's your broker, whether it's the time of the day you're trading, everything is a compromise. Nothing's going to be perfect. The lower time frames have strengths and weaknesses. The strength is it happens really quickly, so you can get a momentum move, a consolidation, a pattern setup. You can be in a trade, pardon me, and you can see a trade to fruition. You can see if it's a winner or a loser. You can use your exit algorithm. You can see that happen on the minute chart quite quickly. You can see all that happen within the space of an hour or two. The downside to that is I need to actually be babysitting the trade. I need to be glued to the screen to watch that. The higher time frames happen slower, so it's easier to go through the rules and it's actually easy to spot because if it's like in the hour charts, you've got multiple days perhaps to actually see it pattern set up, so there's an opportunity not to miss it. The downside of that is I need to be more patient. The upside to that is I can manage the whole trade by using alerts and alarms, and it's more passive. I don't need to be glued to the screen. So typically in Forex, the sweet spot is probably around the 5 or the 15-minute chart. On futures, for me, the sweet spot is down around the seconds chart, so the 5 and the 15 seconds. They sort of work quite well together. But I am fitting this into working full time. So I trade of an evening, and if I'm not careful, because I'm a type 3 with a 4 wing in an Enneagram, that can have tendencies of perfectionism and workaholism. If I'm not careful and I'm trading the minute charts, I can finish work at 5-ish. I can be on the charts at like 5:36, and I can trade through till midnight. And if I do that 3 nights a week plus other work, I can burn myself out. I'm a bit of a workhorse. I can work really hard and then I won't notice the warning signs in my body, and then I'll get to a stage of burnout. I'll end up with a mental injury and it will take me months to recover from burnout. So I'll just be too lethargic and I won't want to get up, and I'll lose that zest and that interest in life and trading. It'll take me a long time to get off the lounge watching TV. So I've really got to be careful. But yeah, just to succinctly answer your question, I think the timeframes, and this is part of your personal trading game. What I'm telling you works for me might not work for you, but for me, the 5 and the 15-minute charts I like in FX, and in futures I like the seconds charts. But I do want to move that to the higher time frames so that I can have more flexibility. I'm not glued to the screen as much. Yeah. Okay, Carl, any epic trades that make you smile that you could share? I wish, because I wish there was, and my ego wishes there was, but the reality of my trading is I think the universe has a tremendous sense of humor. I want to be pulling out 20 and 40 hour trades and have 100 hour weeks to be able to big note myself, because my ego likes that admiration and applause and achievement. But in reality, most of my trading is 2 hours is 2 hours per week. It's pretty boring. Although having said that, I did have a on copper last week on the 1 second chart. I had a really nice in futures. I had a really nice S1 pyramid. I pulled out 8R on the 1 second charts. It was just a beautiful S1 pattern with a beautiful entry signal, and I was able to take a second position. But for me, For me, and this is once again getting to know yourself and understanding, well, what's that original wound? You know, what's that source wound, and then how does that wound manifest in life? And for me, that original wound manifests as me seeking accomplishment and applause, you know, accolades. It's usually those big A's. And I've got to be careful with that, because if I'm chasing, and this is the other thing, I sort of started to mention this at the beginning. I said, you know, I'm going to get exactly what I want out of the markets, and I'm going to get what I want out of the markets unconsciously, not necessarily consciously. So when I sit down to trading, I think I want to get money, but unconsciously I could be trying to get applause and recognition and approval from others, and that can be dangerous. If I'm chasing bigger results, it can lead me to over trading and revenge trading. So I've had to put that to bed, and my first and foremost, my goal is 2 hours per week. My goal is consistency. Yeah, at first I was asking about, like, you know, doing 50-hour a week, and those big numbers are really attractive. But today, what's more attractive than doing 20-hour a week and then having lots of weeks that are with big drawdowns? And what's more attractive to me is 2 hour consistently, because I get the power of compounding interest. Yeah, exactly right. 2 hours per week is 180 hours per year. That's stupid numbers. That's huge. So 2 hours per week is enough, and that's my first and foremost goal. So I'm trying to let go of those. I'm trying to let go of those chasing those big trades, but you know, that they're there. They can come along. This is called the Yerkes-Dodson law. Is that curve, performance and stress? Okay.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Yerkes-Dodson is the relationship describing between arousal and performance.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
As psychology, just you described elementary psychology. Great. Very, very good. I'm a psychologist, because for this reason I know it.
Thank you. Now I know the official name. Thank you. Thanks for that clarification. Another question from Joshua. When you identify patterns during your trading hours, do you set alarms with the ability to adjust entry trades throughout the day outside your set trading hours? Just trying to understand your method of balance between trading and everything else going on in your life. Yeah, great question. So I do use alerts. I use alerts a lot. I've used TradingView. The alerts are great. So I get an audible and a visual alert on TradingView on my desktop PC. And then I've also got it set up so that I receive, through the TradingView app, I receive an alert on my phone. You can set it up to receive an SMS, an email, or an alert through the app, and I get an alert through the app. I've got to be careful. I don't work from home, and I don't work in, like, I'm working a job where I get interruptions from clients and staff constantly. So I've really had to segregate my trading from my work. I would love to be able to set alerts on the higher time frames, and then when the alert goes off, to log in to TradingView at work and then to manage my trades. But that doesn't work for me, because I've got to go from one mental state at work to another mental state trading. So I've got to be careful. I don't want to be seeing an alert go off as an entry signal, and I'm at work and I'm in that drive mode, and I carry that across to trading, and I've got that drive mode to take a trade. I want to make it work. I want to jump in, action now, let's get it done. And if I take that trade and it doesn't work. So to answer your question, I segregated. I don't check, and I'm on the lower time frame, so it usually doesn't happen. I'm closing out my positions before I go to bed typically. So my trading session is usually from 6 p.m., 5:30 or 6 p.m. through to like 10 p.m. ideally, and then my trading is done. So all of my trading is happening in sort of a 4-hour window after work. That's what works for me. There are other traders that are part of Gabriel's program that they work remotely, or they work in IT or software or programming, and they're more flexible, and they can be managing their trades during their working day. But for me, my mental state is too different, and I've got too many interruptions. It's just a recipe for disaster. Yeah, I do stop trading after I reach my weekly goal, unless I get like a 5-hour trade or above 2 hour. in the first trade, and then I'll think about using those extra bullets, those extra R's to have another go. So like if I do like a 3 or let's say I do like a 5R trade as my first trade, I might say I've got 2 R's spare, for instance, and I've got 2 trades that I'm prepared to take to keep me in front of my weekly goal. So 2 R per week consistently is extremely powerful, and that's my primary goal, not 50 R a week. Having said that, though, I'm not going to take a profit at 2 R if the trade can continue to run. Like I'll let my profits run if they're going to continue to run, and I'll keep managing them. Sometimes though, it has been like a Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening, and the trade is at 2 R, and my stop loss is way back at 25%, and I have taken a discretionary exit to close the position when the trade is just above 2 R to bank in 2 R for the week so that my weekly goal is achieved. Yeah. And that's an important note. We're rule-based discretionary traders. We're allowed to make discretionary changes or discretionary calls, discretionary plays, discretionary decisions. We're allowed to do that when it improves the system performance. If I'm making discretionary calls and it produces the performance of the system, that's not what discretion is about. It's about, closing a position at the end of closing a position to bank in 2 R on Thursday night is a discretionary play that is beneficial. So just be mindful of that. How do you keep your stress levels in check when you're trading the lower timeframes? The 1 second, the 5 second time frame seems like a fast-paced, high-stress situation. How do I keep the stress levels in check? Well, first of all, it's about competence. You've actually got to be able to keep up with the 1 second and the 15 second. Just so you know, though, the 5 and if you are interested in doing futures, the 5 and the 15 second charts are basically the same from a user experience. And then when you dial it in, when you've got practice and you dial it in and you know where all your indicators are and you can draw lines, you can frame things really quickly. And TradingView, I execute my trades through TradingView and I use a position sizing tool. So, it's literally, it's a number of a couple of clicks. I think I can be into a trade, including setting my stop loss, maybe like 5 or 6 clicks tops. I can actually be into a trade. So on the seconds charts, it's possible. The stress level, so that's about emotional regulation and understanding about breathing. So I use box breathing. What happens for me is I've started to develop an understanding of what happens with emotions. So, thoughts, feelings, behavior, thoughts, feeling, actions are all intertwined. And if I'm not careful, I can have emotion of fear and it can elevate my heart rate and cause me to do things before logically I've understood. And you can see this in the real world. Like if someone gets big enough fright, they can literally be running and they can be, meters down the road before they've actually logically worked out what happens. So our emotions can trigger really quickly. And that's up in the flight or fight. I've had to learn how to get myself into the parasympathetic, which is rest and digest. And for that, I use box breathing. And I came across research on I think it's biathletes, the Winter Olympic athletes, where they're able to go from cross-country skiing to rifle shooting. They're able to go from like 160 beats a minute down to 60 beats a minute within 10 seconds. And they use controlled breathing as a method to do that. So I use box breathing. It's 4 second breath, 4 second hold, 4 second exhale, 4 second hold. And I do like 3 or 4 rounds of that. And when I catch myself getting excited, I start to use box breathing. And that box breathing is really good. It just brings me back down. And I was a competitive spear fisherman in a previous life. And we learned how to breathe in like a meditative state to be able to lower our heart rate and to keep ourselves in rest and digest so that we could breathe up, and so that when in between breathing sessions on the surface, when we were free diving, and we learned how to control and regulate our heart rate. So it's just another skill, and with practice you can get better at it. Yeah. So to answer your question, there are 2 parts. So this one is technical proficiency, being able to actually execute trades and use your tools proficiently. And then the other part is being able to emotionally regulate. So understanding when you are feeling stressed, what does that represent in you? Does your breathing shut down, become really shallow? Do you sweat? Do you start to get rapid movements? And then understanding that and slowing right down. with the simulator, we basically use the 1 second charts. Yeah, you do, but you can slow that down. You can, I think it's is it 1 minute tick data we're using, and then you can speed it up or slow it down. Yeah, just find a pace that works for you. Just be mindful though, on the second charts, you don't have as much time to do a thorough analysis to look at the pros and cons of every time frame. So it forces me to bypass procedures. So on the second charts, I understand this is about FX, so I'll bring it back to FX, but just to quickly answer your question on the second charts, with futures on the second charts, you've got to really do your analysis beforehand on all your time frames, and then you're waiting for something to set up, and you've pretty much done all your analysis, so you know what to use the FX terminology, you know what like TC, 3 through to TC are looking like, or TC 3, 2, 1, you know what that's all looking like. You've done, you look at where the EMAs are, you look at your 200, you've done your pros and cons, you've already done your analysis, and you're stalking, you're just waiting for something on the second chart. You're just waiting for that, you're waiting for those rules to be met, and then you basically know where your entry is. Mark, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. I'm just giving to you what was so freely given to me. Something, yeah, that sort of triggers a thought in me, Mark, that one of the reasons Gabriel's, and I'll just interject here, I'll just say that I'm a student like yourself, and I've paid for every single course. I've paid for the workshops for FX and futures. I've paid for the boot camps in both. I've paid for LMP in both. I've paid for masters. So I'm not here because I'm paid. I'm not getting any discounts. I'm not getting any financial incentives or any incentives. I've purchased one-on-one calls with Gabriel. So there's no, for transparency, there's no alternate agenda. There's no hidden agenda here. Something that really attracted me to Gabriel's program was the community. For me to be successful, there's a couple of things I've needed to do. I've needed to first of all learn the systems. I've needed to understand myself, and I've needed to be surrounded with like-minded individuals. And being surrounded with like-minded individuals, I can't stress enough just how important that is, whether it's an action buddy or whether it's like one of the students in this group that you pair up with, or whether it's the weekly and the fortnightly calls, whether it's the Slack blog. It's really, really important. And it's been really important for me. First of all, I get that ignition. I see that if other people can do it, so too can I. If other people are going through dips and getting out of it, so too can I. It's also given me like-minded people to be able to share and collaborate with. So the people in Gabriel's community are extremely generous. I've been given lots of time, lots of information. I've direct messaged people and asked questions, and they've come back with lots of really great information. And, and I've put together some videos to try and give back to the community as well. So there's some videos on how to set up TradingView that you're welcome to use. Yeah, it's a wonderful community that Gabriel's put together.
Okay. Other question, final question. Shall we leave it by that? It was very good. Thank you, David.
You're welcome. Is there anything, Gabriel, that you wanted to talk about, or that wasn't covered?
No, it was very good. Very good questions, good flow, and you answered very well. No, it was good. It's really good. I think people liked it. How did you like it? Get some feedback.
Oh, thank you for those
very
nice
good
comments.
Feedback. Okay.
You're very welcome, everyone. Just stick with it. Your trading can get better because you can get better. Your trading can improve because you can improve. just keep at it.
Incredible insight from Garth. The psychological side and taking care of yourself.
Yeah. The number one, I came across some research where the number one indicator of success was not intelligence, was not gender, was not race, country. The number one determinant of success is tenacity, is being determined and sticking with something. It's about perseverance. So I'd encourage everyone here just to make the decision to stick with trading until you can make it work, and just to be persistent, persevere with it. I'm happy to leave it there, Gabriel.
Yeah, okay. That's thanks a lot, David, for coming early in your day before. No, it's not before going to work, but waking up early, right, on your weekend. So
On my Sunday.
That's Sunday, right? Okay. Well, thanks a lot for that, for waking up early on Sunday.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome.
Okay. Thanks a lot.